This is a Global Original Podcast. Coming up this week, I get shouted at a lot by people who, and this is me being kind, have no idea what they're talking about. There's a bit of misinformation flying about on the subject of Brexit, and a little light chatting about the end of the world. But first, a peek behind the radio curtain. Varun says, when will you video stream your show on Facebook like Nigel Farage? Well, hopefully never. It's complicated because I don't broadcast from the Starship Enterprise, which is our normal, very, very glamorous high-tech studio, which is downstairs. I think this is the only show that comes from here. Oh, Steve Allen does it the other way around. In other words, there's two studios with a big pane of glass between me and my glamorous assistant. And he's sitting in there where there's no controls, because I control everything. I am in control. So I'm doing 4 jobs all at once. I'm doing presenting, I'm doing producing, I'm doing technical operator, and I'm doing making my own tea. I'm like the Swiss Army knife of radio. And the upshot of that is that I'm sitting where the engineers normally sit, and nobody wants to see an engineer. That's absolutely true. So there's no cameras in here. So that's why you can't see me. But I can see you. Yes, I can. I've got you on tape. Now, here's a fighty lady who has a pertinent question or two. Here's a call in Blackpool. Hey up, Joe.
Hello. I'm a lot nicer than when I first rang up because I was in a bit of a state with you.
A state?
Yes.
What sort of state?
Going on about age.
Age?
You're going on about people being old.
Yeah.
And not doing this, not knowing that. And I'm in that bracket.
How old are you, Joe?
I'm not telling you.
60 years old.
No, I'm not.
70.
I'm not.
95 years old.
No. You might be that one day, and I might meet you. Anyway.
I don't know. That sounds like a threat, Joe.
What?
You're 65, 50,
I'm not.
48. You're 48 years old.
Oh, whatever you can let your imagine roam.
53.
I haven't rung about all this.
Right.
I've rung up about the parliamentarians in actual fact.
Right.
Because they're all career politicians. Would you tell me, please, why we're virtually going to have a parliamentary, upheaval because of this one Brexit vote? I don't even know, and I listen regularly to the discussions. What's all this business about Brexit? Can someone explain it to me?
Joe, did you vote in the referendum?
Yes.
And which way did you vote?
I voted for our independence. I want Britain to be Britain again. I want to make our own decisions and not have interference from other countries. I haven't go through all this rigmarole. I want to have our own judges judging things.
Yeah.
I don't want to have other countries coming in and saying you can't do that, or they said prisoners are doing this, so you can't do. I want to rule ourselves. That's all. I thought it was that simple.
No, Joe, it's not that simple. But that you called 3 years later and asked me to explain what Brexit was about is absolutely frightening.
Go on.
No, that's it. That you've come to a very strong opinion based on your own admission that you have no information of any kind whatsoever is alarming, Joe.
I'm not thick. They are the ones that assume they're just talking to themselves.
Joe, I didn't call you thick. You called me and asked me to explain Brexit to you and then said that you listen to stations like this all the time, and that you listen to arguments like this all the time, and you still don't know anything about it, and yet 3 years ago you voted to leave.
But no one told us. No one told I never heard this word Brexit before I voted. Where's that come from?
It's not getting any better, Joe. I've got to tell you.
Anyway, I'll stay friends with you. I like
Okay.
listening to you.
All right. Thanks a lot,
Night,
Joe.
night.
But
Night,
ta-da. Bye-bye. Well, we can all stay friends, can't we? Well, maybe not with the next caller, who has a similar and similarly shouty premise. Wigan. Hello, Tony.
Hello, Nick. Thanks very much. First time caller.
Tony.
Is it possible for me to say to the guy who was saying how wonderful Germany is,
Yeah.
why he's not still there?
Oh, really? Is that where we're at? Why don't you go? If you don't like it, why don't you leave the country?
No, I don't mean that at all. He just doesn't seem very happy that everything else is so wonderful everywhere else. And the richest man in the world is the man with a family. So you don't need all that millions. I don't know where he's getting all that from.
The richest man in the world is the one with a family.
Is a man with a family. Have you got a family, Nick?
Everyone's got a family, Tony.
Yeah, well, have you got kids?
No.
No, well, you've got nieces and nephews, haven't you?
Yeah. And that makes you rich.
In the world. It makes you the richest man in the world.
It doesn't, Tony. Not even close.
It kind of does.
No, it really doesn't, Tony. But never mind.
Oh, come on!
Because you've got family, you're rich.
The richest man in the world.
No,
man with a family.
That's delusional talk.
Do you think?
I don't think I know. What are you on about? Because you've got family, that makes you rich. Now, I know that you don't mean rich as far as money is concerned, but it doesn't. Rich in any of the definitions of that word makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Right, okay. Maybe I should have gone.
I think that's
anyway,
clutching at straws, Tony.
Okay.
Trying to make
fine.
the best of a bad job.
Right, okay. No, the reason I was actually calling this anyway was I can't understand why every time I hear anyone talking about leave and remain, the only people I really hear calling people idiots, which is obviously believers. It just doesn't seem to me. It's not. They're supposed to be the clever ones. They're supposed to be the nice ones.
Believers.
The remain ones, and no, the remainers are supposed to be the clever ones, the nice ones, the refined ones, and you don't really hear anything nice come out of the mouths, do you? You don't hear that many leavers calling everyone else idiots, and half the country, or a third of the country, are idiots.
You've got to be kidding me.
No, but
you only don't hear it, Tony, because you agree with them. It's like people who call me up all the time saying, "Oh, you're so biased. You should be like that Nigel Farage. He's not biased at all." It's because they agree with everything he says. The concept of bias means to a lot of people whether they disagree with it or not. They'll listen to Nigel Farage. They could listen to him 24 hours a day, and they think, "Oh, that man, he's so balanced. He never says a single thing I disagree with." That's not the definition of balance. It's the opposite of that. But we've come to the point now. I think this country has been turned upside down and shaken like a snow globe. If you put your ear to this country, this is what you'd hear. Yeah, a little bit. It doesn't seem to make any sense anymore. People have lost their minds. And now you are unbalanced if you say something that anybody disagrees with. But if you say things that they completely agree with, then that is the definition of balance, apparently. This says, in the event of another major London blackout, David Cameron's full moon-like face could be deployed to illuminate the city centre while the electricity board trying to find the right fuse. What do you think of that, Dave?
I think this is nonsense.
Yeah. Coming up, like a dog failing to make its escape, I come to the end of my tether. Conway, hello, Dave.
Hi, mate. You okay?
Yeah, good, thanks.
All right, buddy. Right, listen, don't shout me down on this one. Just give me 1 minute, right, and I'll tell you why I'll tell you why Brexit in the long term is going to be good for our country.
Can't wait. Go ahead.
Right. So after Brexit, right, everyone who comes into this country is going to have to go through the immigration system, which means...
Well, they do already, don't they?
No, they don't. Which means that they're going to have to speak English, and to work here, they're going to have to be highly skilled.
Well, that's completely untrue.
No, it's not, because I've been through the immigration system. I know exactly what it's like. Because my wife's Filipino, so we're actually right in the middle of it. Right. So
but what makes you think that they're going to have to be highly skilled?
Because that's the immigration process. To work in this country as a non-EU person, you have to be highly skilled. You can't just come into this country and say I'm going to be a baker or I'm going to spread tarmac on the roads.
Okay. Well, then I have a question right off the bat, Dave.
Yeah, go on.
If that is going to apply to all people, then where are we going to get the bakers and the people who spread the tarmac on the road?
I'm going to come to that, right? Oh. So as unskilled immigration falls, right, this is going to have a long-term beneficial effect, right, on our key services, i.e. schools, housing, and NHS.
How will that be?
But let me tell you this. Right,
no, wait a minute. Let's take it point by point. How is it going to have a long-term benefit?
Well, I'm going to tell you because my next point covers it. Because unemployment will fall. Because people will lose their benefits if they refuse to do the job.
But Dave, we don't have a lot of unemployment in this country.
We've got loads of unemployment.
No, we don't.
Well, we've got loads of
unemployment. No, we don't. We have full employment.
We don't. You're living
yes, Dave, we do. We have full employment. Unemployment is about 4%, there or thereabouts, which is what economists call full employment. You always need a pool of available people for businesses to take from. If we've got 100% employment, then an economy can't go anywhere. You always need some people who are unemployed or underemployed for an economy to grow. We have full employment. We do not have an unemployment problem in this country.
Yeah, but Mr. Nick, you're missing my main point. Unskilled immigration will fall, right?
Yeah.
Because the people will have to go through the immigration process.
Right, but so what are we going to do to fill all the unskilled jobs that won't have anybody doing them anymore?
There's people on unemployment benefit which will lose their benefit.
Dave, we've just gone around in a tight circle.
No,
we don't have an unemployment problem in this country.
Nick, we have. You go to any job
Oh my God! No, of course there are people in job centres. Do I have to explain? Do I have to explain it again? Yes, there are some people that are unemployed, but that is a requisite of a healthy economy. You need some people to be unemployed because otherwise businesses wouldn't be able to employ more people.
We could have full employment.
We do have full employment.
We don't, Nick.
Dave, you misunderstand the phrase full employment. Again, you cannot have 100% of the people employed because that would mean that no business would be able to expand.
Okay, I'll take your point on the full employment. But what I'm trying to say is, everybody once we leave Europe, everybody is going to have to go through the immigration system. Now, the immigration system is very stringent. It's very hard.
Again, we've just gone back to the beginning again. So what are we going to do about all of the jobs that are unskilled that people in this country don't want to do?
This is where we differ. There are a lot of unemployed people in this country who will be forced to do that type of work or they will lose their benefits.
Okay, well, I've explained it as many times as I can, and I'll just be repeating myself. I've already done so twice, and it still doesn't seem to have, broached your defences, or breached your defences, Dave. So I can go no further. But anyway, good effort. Yes, top marks for stubbornly sticking to your guns. Now, here's another furious shouter trying to pummel me with volume. Jim says, those who say Remainers won't accept defeat are right. We are British, and we will never surrender. Selby, hello, Sylvia.
Hello, Nick.
Sylvia.
Well, all I want to say is I'm happy.
Happy?
And I've always been happy.
We found one. Happy.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Since 3 years ago.
Yes.
Since Theresa May, absolute rubbish. And we've got Boris Johnson in power.
Yeah.
And I want to say to Boris, stand by what the people want in this country.
Wait a minute.
We
Right.
went out.
Mm-hmm.
And what
We just want
to say
Brexit,
is,
in other words.
are you listening?
Who to?
Right. What I want to say is the people of this country, we want to rule ourselves.
Oh,
we
God.
don't want to be under the European Union.
Yeah, the evil
You may be
European
correct.
overlords, yeah.
And what I want to say is we will prosper.
Yeah.
Believe
Based on what? Have you come to that conclusion, Sylvia?
What I want to say is what we will prosper, it won't be hunky-dory, but we won't be under them. And I'm going to tell you, and this is what I believe in,
Yes.
it will fall apart because we have got the gumption to stand by what we believe in.
It will
And
fall
you've
apart.
talked about
What are you talking about?
immigrants.
Are you talking
Now,
about Europe?
immigrants, I do feel sorry for them, and
Yeah,
they do
but-
play a good part in
but-
this country.
but-
We've got loads of them coming into this country, and how the hell can we maintain these people coming in this country?
Well, how
when
about-
our own people?
How about, Sylvia, that they give us more than they take?
I'm not saying anything. They do good jobs.
But
what I'm saying is they're coming in dinghies, they're coming in lorries, and I'm telling you, when I were brought up in the 50s and war, and we had to stay put with nothing in bare feet and
Which
going
war?
into rooms
Which-
and what have
which-
you.
which
We've been
war?
going free
Hey,
to
Sylvia.
other countries.
Sylvia, take a breath. Which war were we fighting in the 1950s?
I'm talking about 44.
Teds
the
and
Second
rockers?
World War.
Right.
And
You're that
I'm
old,
telling
are you?
There were no such things as food banks. We lived on bread and jam
Oh,
and
yeah, I
bread.
know. And you could leave your door open and no one would nick anything in the good old days.
Good night.
All right. Yeah, it's been an excellent night. I appreciate you asking.
Thank you.
Was she serious? Oh, her. Because that balloon was pricked pretty easily. I don't know whether she was just trolling me or not. Were you? Perhaps. Now, I've taken that call before. If she was a troll, that was pretty sophisticated. In fact, it was almost as sophisticated as that fellow that called in Nigel Farage the other day.
I'm immensely grateful to you for everything you've done in British politics over the last few years. I used to be an ardent Remainer. I voted Remain. I believed in the European project.
Mm-hmm.
I believed that staying in the European Union was the best thing for us. And then something happened, and something monumental happened. And it completely changed my opinion on the whole situation.
What was that monumental thing, Mark?
I was kicked in the head by a horse.
Right, very good. Okay, fine. Thank you.
That was absolutely priceless. It was almost as though Nigel Farage was in on the joke and they had scripted it together themselves. I know that can't possibly be true, but it was the timing was so good. And the genius of that caller was that he underlined that something monumental had happened, because he said something changed, and then just to make absolutely sure that Nigel was going to take the bait, he dangled the hook in the water again and underlined that it was a really epoch-making change that he had gone through, and then just left it hanging there, and giving Nigel Farage no option but to ask what that change had been. Absolutely excellent work. That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's available on the internet, by the way. Oh, have you seen the internet?
Disgusting.
There's all sorts of things on there, and that's one of them. Priceless. And I shall be playing it frequently.
I'm a nutcase.
Excellent work, that man. Coming up, a chap I like to call Mr. Whatabout.
Good evening.
Luke.
Yes. There are so many reasons to be part of Great Britain and to leave the EU, their political union.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, there's just too many. I mean,
Well, name one.
What, laws? Yeah, well,
No, I thought you said there was too many reasons.
There's too many reasons to leave Europe.
Okay,
of course.
go on. Lay them on me, baby.
Get rid of the child benefit for migrant workers. the fact that
migrant workers give far more to the economy than they take out. So we would be shooting ourselves in the foot if we politely ask them to leave.
Okay, EU citizens, they can claim even if the children aren't in the...
Yeah, I'll refer you to the answer I gave some moments ago.
Yeah, so they can claim even if the children aren't in the...
I refer you to the answer I gave some moments ago.
Okay, but
you lost that one, Luke. Go on to another one.
What, working time directive? Average person can't work any more than 48 hours. That's restricting people from working.
Well, the reason that came in is to prevent people from falling asleep at the wheel of a lorry and ploughing into oncoming traffic. I mean, I'm assuming that you would prefer to be able to survive your drive home.
Well, we all like safety. What about the diabetic?
What, like safety? What about the what now?
The EU stipulate that they have to make it very difficult for anyone who's on insulin to get a licence. To get a licence?
Yeah. To do what?
Well, if you're on regular insulin, the EU rule says that they have to make it very difficult to issue a licence to drivers.
Oh, to drive. Right. Well, what happens if you have an insulin? I mean, I don't really know what living with insulin is like, but is it possible that you would have a blackout and drive onto the pavement?
Well, that's one of 27,000 rules that have been.
Each one sounds perfectly reasonable to me. Think of an unreasonable one.
What about the fact that only 8% of the whole of the EU Parliament is non-white? Does that show that equality to you?
Is non-white? Well, that's probably an accurate reflection of the demographic makeup of Europe.
Well,
it's a fairly accurate reflection of the demographic makeup of this country.
I think being Great Britain, and you know what, being able to say what we want when we want, including that we are a Christian nation, I think freedom of speech is important. Unlike
and you don't think that the European Union is for freedom of speech?
Well, you're not, because you turned the other guy off earlier.
I'm running a show here, Luke. I can't just allow people to come on and speak until they run out of breath. Freedom of speech. You want this show to be more free for people to call up and disagree with me? I sit here for 3 hours a day, twice a week, being yelled at by people calling me a moron. You didn't get more free speech than this. Worldwide concerns, which we get into after a brief getting-to-know-you moment. Here's a suspiciously keen caller in Where? Where? Scott?
Yeah, hi Nick, how you doing? Good evening.
Are you calling me from a bucket or a well? Hey Scott, it puts the lotion in the basket. Or it gets the hose again.
A hose? You've lost me.
If only I had. Are we on speakerphone?
Sorry, shall I turn that
off? Oh my God.
Oh, there you go. How's that?
Better.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Bad enough hearing my voice once, let alone twice.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Do you ever get nervous? Because I've been on the radio loads of times, but I still get nervous before I come on. I suppose it's a natural reaction, but I don't know. It shouldn't do, really.
No, I get nervous when I'm not on the radio.
Yeah, because you don't get. No, that's true. The mortgage has to be paid.
Yeah, I sit at home staring at the phone. No one calls.
Yeah, I know that feeling actually. Yeah, I know that feeling. After going on dating sites, yeah.
Did you ever look at the phone and think, maybe it's been disconnected, or maybe I've left the phone upstairs off the hook? I'll just pick it up and check, because there has to be some reason why no one's calling me.
Yeah, well, I always thought my post was getting intercepted instead of getting a Christmas card, you know, or a birthday card.
Right. Oh, your birthday.
Anyway, yes. Nothing. Not a thing, you know. Anyway.
Never mind.
Yeah.
The most important thing is...
Stop whining!
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's always someone worse off than yourself. Yeah, Greta. The young Swedish lady.
Greta Thunberg, yeah.
Yeah,
or
Greta
Thunberg. It's probably not how you pronounce it, but that's what it looks like to me. Greta Thunberg, perhaps. Anyway, her.
I think her the way it was delivered sort of grated some people, slightly melodramatic and whatnot.
Were you talking about her speech?
Yeah, her speech in the United Nations, I think, isn't it? But I think fundamentally, she, you know, she's correct actually that the world is it's not in the state it was 30 or 40 years ago. Whatever reason, you've only got to walk out of your front door and my local town, for instance, I was born and brought up in Harlow in Essex. I mean, it never used to be homeless people, and you see them all around the town centre now.
Homeless people?
Yeah,
What's that got to do with global climate change?
Well, I think it's all... to think it's not all linked, really, is folly, because it's like a decline in society that we're seeing. And I think it's a lack of care, not only for our fellow humans, but also, putting money first, material goods first. And I think that's what she was trying to say. She was trying to put it across.
Well, that sounds like two different... I agree with you, but it's two different arguments. I don't think that's got anything to do with climate change. That's just the general nastiness and selfishness of people, isn't it? Particularly the people that have got a lot, who seem to want to cling on to it the most.
Yeah, I think it's, in a way, if I may say, in my opinion, I think it's linked to the pursuit of money, and that goes for big business as well. I mean, America, is it the Kyoto Agreement? They wouldn't adhere to that. With the emissions and whatnot. And a small little country like us is trying all we can to get vehicles off the ground.
Really?
Well, I think it's palatable, isn't it, to say that we are. But
it's nice to think that we're doing the right thing, but are we actually doing the right thing? Not really.
Well, it's difficult. It's money, isn't it? Again, everybody would like an electric car. Everybody would like a ground floor place where you can charge it up. But the reality is, some of us have got a £950 pop, and we can't afford to change it.
Pop.
Yeah, well, I can't say a car's name, can I? Because it's not
900. Your car's worth £950. Wow, you could get 950 of my cars for that.
My car doesn't even belong to me. It's on HP. If I'm
oh, really? Well, my car doesn't even exist. So, no.
Well, brilliant. That's great. I spoke to a guy today. I said, how do you get to work? And he said, I cycle to work. And I felt ashamed.
Yeah, you should be.
This guy, yeah, he was really, really good. I think the amount of plastic in the oceans, when you walk out your front door, you just see plastic everywhere, all over the floor. And I bet you can't reach out and touch right now in a single surface or any product that has not got plastic in it. I bet it's impossible for you to do right now. Nothing. Everything's got. I've just thrown plastic in the bin. It's everywhere.
Yeah, and the bin is made of plastic.
It is made of plastic. It's like you've got eyes in my kitchen, Nick.
Actually,
when I was
and now you mention it. If only you'd put something on before you made this call, that would have been so much easier.
Oh no. You can see in my kitchen.
Anyway, cheer up, Scott. It might never have. Oh, no, that's right. It already has.
It already has,
all
yeah.
Right. OK, chin up. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Alex says that's the problem. Greta, a 16-year-old, does believe the climate will spiral out of control in 12 years if we don't reduce carbon emissions, and millions of children believe her. Now, it's very hard to tell the tone of something that's just written down. So I presume you are a skeptic. And by which I mean one of those people that just says fake news to anything they don't like the sound of. Yeah, there's a lot of that about. And talking of the planet, Edward says Nick Abbott believes that the world will come to an end in 12 years because a 16-year-old told him so. Greta also says that her mass extinctions have already begun. All you'll see is millions of crying children. Oh, the wonderful world of the extreme far left. Says Edward. Edward, I don't mean this to be unkind or insulting, but you're an idiot. They did a study in Germany called the Krefeld study. It took place over 27 years. And they found, and you can, I've mentioned this phenomenon before, you can do your own study quite easily. And they found that over 27 years in this particular area, there was a 75% decline in flying insect biomass. And the reason, the way that you can do your own study is look at the front of your car. If any of you were alive in the 1970s, then you will have had the experience of trying to chip dead insects off the front of your car. it didn't really matter how long your journey was. But certainly if it was 100 miles long and you were driving, up and down motorways and so on, you'd have millions of dead ends. Well, that's perhaps an exaggeration, but just loads of them splattered all over the front of your car. Now you can travel the length of the country and not hit one single one. A 75% reduction in flying insects. And you know what we get from insects? Food. As in, they pollinate. Without pollinating insects, we ain't got no food no more. Like practically all the stuff that we like to eat is dependent on pollinating insects. And when they go, so we go too. So tell me again about there's no such thing as a mass extinction and everything's fine, Edward, because I'm really keen to know your opinion. Finchley, hello, Steve.
Hello, Nick. About 3/4 of an hour ago, you mentioned Jesus' birthday's around the corner. Can you tell me what date he was born, please?
Yes, certainly. Thursday.
Don't be stupid.
I will.
Don't be sarcastic. You said Jesus' birthday's around the corner.
Yes.
So what are you being sarcastic for? I've asked you a straightforward question.
Right.
And you said Jesus' birthday's around the corner.
Yes, it is.
So you can do all that noise and all that.
Thanks.
I'm asking you nicely. What day was Jesus born?
This is you asking me nicely, is it?
Yeah.
Right. You must be popular. It's the 25th of December. That's the date.
Wrong.
That's
Sorry.
the date that we celebrate it.
That's correct. That's not the date Jesus was born.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, thanks a lot.
No,
mate.
no, not that. See, you're easy getting rid of, right? You should listen to someone, right?
Yeah, I'll listen to someone, Steve. Just not you. Anybody but you, if that's okay. Thank you. Strict but fair, I think. And that's it. If you like this, you'll probably like what I write. And my most recent book of collected columns, The